All right. Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are having yourselves a fantastic Wednesday morning, uh, or afternoon, or evening, or wherever you may be in this world here today. And yeah, you're excited for what should hopefully be an interesting trading session. This is unfortunately my last trading day here of the week. Tomorrow is going to be a little bit of a travel slash wedding day, and then Friday's going to be a little bit of a oh my gosh, I'm dying from a hangover day. So not going to trade under those conditions. So yeah, let's get after it. Let's finish off the week with a bang here, and yeah, control the variables we can control. So a couple things, right, to start. We do some market data here this AM at 10 Eastern. So hopefully not as slow as it was yesterday, or not as like sticky as it was yesterday. But I think there's still a little bit of like volatility in store. Kind of base expectation, right, is that there's probably still just like a little bit of headline risk here today. Although I don't really care about the government shutdown. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Nor do I think it's going to have a tremendously huge impact on markets. Still is a headline. It's still something that could kind of push stories here a little bit. So let's not get too like basically overwhelmed trying to make any wild decisions. Besides that, right, yesterday was effectively just like a day of consolidation where a lot of the action, right, just like wasn't up until like later in the afternoon, right? So for the we'll say first 5, 6, 7 hours of the market, one candle up, one candle down, one candle up, one candle down, and then kind of a big move there, right, in power hour. I'm hoping we have a little bit of a smoother kind of trading day here today, or hoping that that's sort of the backdrop that's in place. But let's cross that bridge basically when we get to it. The most important thing that we're going to want to be looking for here, right, which is what we didn't get yesterday, was enthusiasm at the open. So yesterday, very kind of pathetic volume to start the day off. Nothing really there that was like super interesting. Nothing there that really indicated like any sign of momentum or any change in personality, or anything along those lines. So it needs to be, or we need to be just a little bit more cautious and patient and deliberate basically with our trading decisions here today. And if that means we don't get any action, no big deal. If that means we get lots of action, no big deal. We're not coming into today's session with an expectation of anything happening besides listening to our trading system, right? Following our rules, sticking to our plan, and basically being unwilling to compromise those objectives. If we're going to cheat ourselves, right, that's it might feel fun, it might feel good, it might feel rewarding in the moment, but I don't think it's actually going to make us any money here long term. So really all about just controlling the variables I can control. And the most important one, right, is my ability to stick to my strategy, trade my system, and ignore the outside noise. I'm not going to allow the market to basically create like a pressure chamber where I feel like I have to make a decision. It's not the reality, right? September was a really strong month. October should be a really strong month here too, but it's only going to happen that way, right? If we don't get in our own way, if we avoid the self sabotage, if we avoid that short term thinking, if we, yeah, basically don't skip steps. So that's the priority here. That's the most important element. And if we can control that, it's going to be a great day. If we can't, it's not going to be a great day. So it's got nothing to do with P&L. It's got nothing to do with the outcome. It's always an internal self reflection. And my job as a trader is not necessarily to trade, it's to study the market, to study my reactions to the market, and to behave how I expected myself to behave. If I do that, it can be a good day. If I don't do that, it's not going to be a good day. So I'm really wanting to stress that, right? That's the most important thing that we can focus on here every single session. It's the variable we can't control every single day. And it's so important that I got to say it like 3 times, right? So really, really important that we focus on that we control that. And yeah, we put ourselves in a good situation. Like I mentioned, we do have some data here at 10 a.m. that could create a little bit of extra volatility. We've got crude oil inventories here at 10:30, right, on CL, which again, I'm probably not expecting to get a trade there. It's been a index heavy month in general anyway, but let's see basically where things kind of come together or where things go. So, all right, let's start mapping things out here. Let's figure out what we want to do. Enough of the preamble here this AM, and let's get after. Excuse me, get after it. So first things first here. Yes, right. Yesterday, green candle increasing outlier volume and then gapping down. So it's a 2 out of 3 to the upside with volume. And then again, we're going to be basically targeting, it looks like 67.30, right, is kind of our pre-market high. So I don't think I need to change that too aggressively here. It's about 20 points away from where we're at right now. So that makes a little bit of sense. Can I make this box smaller? I'll probably just do that. That might be a little bit easier. And then to the downside here, it's a 2 out of 3 with volume. So probably theoretically, I shouldn't have too much of a downside bias. Sorry, I was just trying to think through possible scenarios here. But if I'm looking at like I don't know, basically what markets have done, there's a couple things that kind of stand out to me, right? It's like 3 days up, 3 days down, 3 days up, 3 days down, right? Could be something that comes together. But more than anything, right, this just looks like it's a range bound market, right? Effectively, that's the range. So I do think it would be maybe a little bit realistic to still have a little bit of a downside bias, especially if I can get a fake out above yeah, or see like a really aggressive bullish failure. So I will maintain a little bit of flexibility here. I think technically, right, or from a pre-market count perspective, we've got quote unquote trending price action to the upside. But if I'm looking at it from like a little bit of a larger picture, I would probably suggest that it's range bound markets versus trending markets. And I'd long term be looking for a resolution of that story. So, kind of wanting to see either a high conviction breakout over all time highs or a high conviction breakdown, right? Basically, call it 100 points lower. So, to the downside, I'd be going 66.70. That would be kind of the starting point here. Again, the pre-market lows. We've already seen a decent amount of bears here in the morning. That looming headline, right, of the government shutdown, could create a little bit of some selling pressure, an opportunity to create a dip buy scenario. But I do think that it's reasonable to have some of that flexibility. And so we'll keep this going down towards 6,600. All right, NQ. There it is. All right. So, yesterday looks like it's an inside bar. So, more formal consolidation. That gives us a little bit of an easier narrative, right, for that range bound story. And so we'd be pushing for a move towards 25,000, maybe 25 or 24.9 would be the initial starting point here. And then to the downside, right, we're looking at a 24.5 kind of target. And then I'd say probably looking for a move down towards like 24,000. Cool. Makes sense? Yeah, makes sense. All right, I'll take that as a yes. All right, CL. So today again, we got 10:30 data here on crude. Probably going to make it a little bit more challenging for me to trade. It is going to be a 2 out of 3 to the downside without volume. We'll say 10:30 data. So with that 10:30 data, right, my favorite going into these big data events is when you get a really big directional move, right, going into a data drop. So in this circumstance, right, we'd be looking for really significant bearish continuation, or even a big bullish rip here for the first like hour of the session, and then a very violent rejection going into that 9:30 data. So let's see if that can occur. Generally, I wouldn't want to trade this before 10:30. So if it's like a little bit of a later morning setup, that would be probably a bit more ideal for me. To the upside, you'd be targeting a move towards basically 63. And we're on 63, then 63.50. Whoops. Then kind of our upper target here. I mean, 66 is probably too aggressive. We'll call it 65. We'll go towards. Okay. And then to the downside, again, we have to be a little bit conscious, right, of those 5% limits. And those are exchange based, right? So we're looking at a 59.26. So our target here can't really exceed more than 59.50. And with there being inventories data, right, at 10:30 a.m., that does create a possibility, right, for us to get like a little bit of a limit down or circuit breaker move here this morning. We're already down like 2% or something along those lines on CL. So getting a big algo flush right towards that could halt markets for 15 minutes or however long the circuit breaker is triggered for. If that does happen, I wouldn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, right? So once a circuit breaker event triggers, the next reaction or the reactions after are kind of completely random, because there's going to be so many like funds or banks or hedge funds or pension funds or whatever that basically have rules on how they're going to be managing their risk if something like that occurs, right? So what that will mean is that you often get a lot of forced buying and selling once the restriction or the circuit breaker restriction has been lifted. And then you just get like chaotic price action, which makes it very challenging to find an edge. So CL, our path of least resistance here, just from like a technical perspective or from an execution perspective, I should say, is probably to the upside. But if we're looking at the chart from like a logical perspective, kind of seems like our path of least resistance here is lower. So there's like a little bit of a divergence there, right, between what we could actually trade versus maybe what the most likely path in the market is. And let's basically just make sure that we're not clouding our judgment there and we remain impartial as we're doing that analysis. The final thing here to mention, right, prior to markets opening is just that there have been some reports of like market data issues with Tradeovate specifically. So Tradeify sent out an email this morning that people were having market data issues where they weren't connected to a market data source or that they were significantly behind on their data. When you have an opportunity, right, please sanity check that your data feeds all look correct, that your price seems reasonable, right, or relative to what it should be, and that we're not having any execution hiccups. If you are seeing a incorrect data feed or you're not getting the connection that you need, please do not place a trade. Shut your computer down, go enjoy the rest of your afternoon, but there is no reason to risk any capital if you don't have the right data source here to basically set you up for success. So let's see how the day shapes up. Let's see, how things kind of come together here today. Let's see where that momentum is in store, or where that path of least resistance is, and then we can go from there. Again, I am hot spotting off of my phone. It was a little bit dodgy yesterday. Hopefully, it's a little bit smoother here today. So far, so good. I don't have any dropped frames yet on OBS, so that is extremely positive. But let's see how that comes together. And then, like I said, what we're looking for here off this opening rip is what's that enthusiasm like, what's that volume like, and what's the size of that opening range. The bigger and more enthusiastic and the more volatile it is, more likely it is for us to actually get an action or get some action here today. That's a pretty positive start, right? We're pushing pretty nicely. And this thing is bouncing around some wild numbers. Yesterday, if we think back, right, NQ and ES were both kind of fighting around their psychological levels. So ES was hanging out around 6,700 for the vast majority of the morning. NQ was hanging around, that 800 area for the vast majority of the morning. So if we can get separation away from those zones here early, that's going to be a really optimistic start or a very positive sign that we should get a little bit of oomph. As is, right? This is a 68 and a quarter point range. I like that number. That's a good size. Gives us an expectation that we should have a little bit of follow through here today. So let's see if that does end up actually happening or what price action kind of looks like. Make sense? Everyone understand the plan here today? Everyone know what we're looking at? All right, sweet. So good size, right? Good size opening range here on the three. This is basically the range we had on yesterday's five min, which I think is extremely positive. The volume here, right? 12.97, significantly larger than yesterday's of 7.7. So this is kind of what we're looking for, right? Much better enthusiasm here. Nice little shape to that candle. That's actually a pretty strong looking breakout. So really, really positive. Now let's see if we can get some setups to activate and if we can get some confirmations. Again, the dream scenario here today is a one and done. I want to be like a college basketball player, right? And go into the show. So let's see, yeah, basically where enthusiasm shows up or what kind of momentum is in play, and if we can get that consistency. Obviously, the biggest fear here is volatility early and then like toffee pudding price action for the rest of the day, right? So things are just really sticky and heavy. And I doesn't seem like we're getting that here early, but that's the fear or what we would like to avoid. What was interesting about yesterday's trading day, which I don't think is going to happen here today, but yesterday we had increasing volume right on the second candle of the day. That's pretty rare. That doesn't happen too often. I would be surprised for us to get that here today because volume is like 40% more than yesterday's open already. So I would be very, very surprised. But if it does occur, that would be a wonderful sign for us. So realistically, I think I'm probably not going to be looking for a trade until 9:39 or a little bit even later. But let's see how things sort of shape up and go from there. I might have made a mistake clicking on the other trading view or on a different ticker. I need to turn off these alerts. I don't even use them. That should do it. Okay, so yeah, very unlikely that this is going to be increasing volume, but still holding above 800. Looks like it's still holding above the opening range for now. And any day now, trading view would be nice. Oh, come on. Volume cannot take this long to load. This is ridiculous. This is like a minute we're waiting now. What the fuck? Ugh, this trip might push me off of TradingView forever. Ugh, Jesus. Yeah, it like legitimately makes no sense. 2 minutes waiting for this volume bar to load is pathetic. Ugh. Okay, finally. Well, be honest, I'm scared to click away from this now. It's gonna take forever. Yeah, it's not an internet issue, it's a TradingView server issue. Right? So they seemingly are too cheap to update their server capacity or whatever it is. And it's driving me insane. Okay, obviously very unlikely that this next candle is going to be an increasing volume standard. But this does set up very easily, right, for that fourth candle of the day to then be increasing volume. So let's see. This for now is our setup candle, but we are lacking confirmation. Higher high, higher low, so it doesn't really change anything. Like that red candle shouldn't scare you. But we're just missing confirmation here, right? So that's what we're looking for here, what we're cheering for. Let's see if it happens. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how your opening candle of the day would be red, uh, Dave. I don't know how that makes sense. Maybe you're on a different data source or something along those lines, or you're looking at, I don't know, the pre-market open. I don't know. Unfortunately, that's not really an error that I can troubleshoot for you. Yeah, Trade was having some issues this morning. We talked about that just the start of the session. But the data, right, if there's a data issue, it wouldn't be that it's giving you the wrong colors. It would be that the data is delayed, right? So it would be delayed by 10 minutes. So it wouldn't be that it's giving you random numbers. It would be that you're not connected to a data feed or you're connected to a free one, whatever you want to call it. And that wouldn't, it'd be delayed effectively by 10 minutes. So the market data issue, right, would not show up as incorrect candles. It would show up as a 10-minute delay. Okay, better. ES maybe has a chance to go increasing outlier. It's a big opening range on ES. 13 points you don't see too often. It's going to be increasing. I don't think it's going to be outlier. NQ seemingly selling off a little bit. Lower low, lower high, but nothing crazy yet. Also seems unlikely that that's going to be increasing volume. Again, another 60 seconds to load everything, which is pathetic. Can you trade that 10-minute delay? No. Why would you want to enter a trade when you don't know what price you're entering in at? I don't get that. That makes zero sense. Why would there be a desire to do that? If you are having market data issues, guys, there's nothing we can do about it. It is outside of our control. So go enjoy your day, right? Don't try to power through it. That's a disaster of a decision. And we talk about this all the time. We talked about this like for 15 minutes yesterday, but like my primary job with my execution is to know what price I am executing at. If I don't have visibility over those things, how am I supposed to manage my risk? How am I supposed to know when to get stopped out? How am I supposed to figure out my position sizing? How am I supposed to figure out where to close my trade? So it's purely just then entering a trade for a dopamine hit, not with anything with any logic or foresight behind it. See, if you have a market data issue, don't be the asshole who loses money because you just want to feel something this morning. Again, it seems maybe a little bit unlikely that we're going to get increasing volume here. Surprisingly thinned out volume profile post open. Go back to NQ. Mistake clicking off. It's kind of nuts. A non-outlier volume bar on NQ within the first 15 minutes is pretty crazy. So at least for now, right, we're still using the high of the opening range as support here. So we still have that set up to the upside. We're just lacking confirmation, right? So it's, yeah, I mean, if there's a market data issue, it'll be reflected here in your trading view. So this would be orange or red or whatever, and there'd be a little D here in like a box that says that your data is delayed. The other way to sanity check it, right, is does this price here match what you see in Tradeovate, right? So the data that I have logged in here is an independent, we'll call it data feed, right? Or it's an independent or it's not a Tradeovate data feed. Now, it's going to be the same one that Tradeovate uses, right? All CME data is the same, but this is coming not from Tradeovate. This is coming directly through CME. So you use it or you cross-reference it against a sample that you know is correct. And so in this case, right, My trading view is fine. Current price on NQ is 24,812.50. So you look at your trade of eight, or you look at your current price, does it look the same as mine? So it's just an eye test, right? Would you look for the volume confirmation against the initial breakout? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Jason. Because confirmation, guys, is not I'm not judging increasing outlier versus the first candle of the day. I'm judging it increasing an outlier relative to the previous bar, right? So I don't know why that would change or why there would be confusion there. That has been the same thing for the last like 7 years of my trading. Okay. And it technically is increasing. Not sure if I would call that outlier though. Kind of seems like it hit the white line, but that didn't really go above it. So I'll pass on that burden of confirmation. I'm not convinced that that's strong enough here yet. Again, Morgan, same response that I gave you yesterday. I cannot control if you can't see my mouse. Nothing I can do about it. So like, I don't know how that would have changed 24 hours later. Okay, so now we have an opportunity here, right? This is definitely going to be increasing outlier. So we'd like to see this now break, close, and hold under the low of the opening range. We're going to have about, we'll call it, 10 minutes, right? Or 9 minutes up until market open, or sorry, until 10 a.m. data. So let's see how this thing closes. And this is much more what we would have expected from a volume perspective. Okay, so failed on confirmation there, right? Because it did not close outside of the opening range, so I can't trade this volume profile. On the 5 min, potentially, but this feels very reminiscent of yesterday's price action, right? Where we had a lot of confirmations that immediately made a quick lower low and then got stuffed, right? Or reversed. still have a little bit of time here. I would say like I would not feel comfortable executing this trade if I can't get in before, let's say 9:55. So for me, probably seems a little bit unlikely that I'm going to get an entry on this yet. I might just have to wait for that 10 a.m. data. And just as a reminder here, team, right? My job is to show you guys how to trade, to show you my strategy, to, walk you through what my decision-making process is. I cannot provide any tech support, right, over what your issues are with TradingView or with your market data or what you see on the stream. I can't help you with that. I have no ability to make those changes. So please stop asking because like I can't do anything for you. That has to be something that you fix yourself. I think probably not, Logan. I'm what 5 hours ahead of Eastern, 8 hours ahead Pacific. So I think kickoff would be like 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning. So I unfortunately don't think that I will be watching. Okay, I mean I feel pretty good about not chasing anything here yet so far. Um, Not necessarily, Vic. I have on that 5 min time frame, I have an active confirmation. So I wouldn't be looking for another candle here to break down and give me an entry. So this is my confirmation, right? This is my signal to tell me that my trade to the downside or my thesis to the downside could be in play. The problem here is just not being able to get within the position sizing requirements that I like. So if I were to go aggressive entry technique here, for example, this would require me to risk like $1,000 per contract, right? Which is double the max loss that I'm willing to take. If I were to do the pullback entry technique, my stop loss would probably have to be high of day, which again, right, I would then be risking about $1,500 a contract, which is far too much risk. So that's why I didn't take this trade, is it just did not make any sense from a position sizing perspective. And so I knew that pretty quickly, right? Once this candle made that little fake out lower, and then so low of that candle 37. So once it's at like, we'll say 70, right? I know that my idea is probably not going to come together because we're outside of that 25-point range. And then just adding the context of how we saw price action behave yesterday, where it was a lot of confirmations and then instant fakeouts. You're trying to buy yourself time to basically make sure that the market isn't being a menace. And in this circumstance, it was. So it was reasonable for us to wait and be extra patient. Okay, so data drops here in a couple minutes. This setup, right, is still in play, but again, we just need to see a very, very tight risk reward ratio, right, to justify taking this risk. It seems unlikely on, the candle as is that we would get it on the following one. So again, we're probably going to have to wait this thing out a little bit. So I rely on the volume indicator to confirm for me that it's increasing and outlier volume. I just like the volume candles because it helps me see things just a little bit differently, right? It kind of just like breaks up the pattern. So like if I see a really fat candle, it kind of is like a visual clue to make sure I look at the volume. In reality, it was just that one day I clicked the volume candles. I liked the way it looked, and I haven't gone back. But I used the volume indicator, right? These little bars at the bottom, right, for me to judge if it's increasing or outlier. Okay, so let's see how this thing closes. Okay, there's that 10 a.m. data reaction. So now let's see if we can get a clean separation away from that low of the opening range, or if we can get a pop back up above. But no reason to trade anything here yet. Well, I wouldn't say that it really reminds me to look down. I'm going to look down regardless. Like literally, guys, all it is I like the way the candles look. That's it. Don't overthink it. It doesn't change my strategy. It doesn't change how I trade. Doesn't do anything. I just like how they look. And I mean, yeah. Is it expensive? Personally, I don't think so. Like trading charts and trading data is like one of the only things that we can write off on our taxes as traders. So I really don't care about the cost, right? I'm going to get that money back anyway. Again, guys, the volume candles do not give me any extra information. They don't, right? So you could trade with a line chart and the volume indicator, and it would tell you the exact same thing that the volume candles do. So it literally is just an aesthetic thing. Again, please, guys, don't overthink things or like think that there's some secret sauce. It is not that, right? So we're kind of just hanging out in the middle of this range, right? So we now need to see a breakout over or a breakdown under. Hard to really call any of those wicks above or wicks below the opening ranges like reversals or fakeouts. It's probably a little bit too ambitious to call those. So we'd still primarily be looking for a breakout trade, right? Market has given us a good opening range, but then effectively it's just been compression since then. So we're looking for a breakout for now, not a reversal. I don't think it's enough separation from the lows or separation from the highs to play a comfortable reversal signal. Guys, just keep the main thing, right? It really doesn't matter. The price is the same regardless of what types of candles you use. The volume is going to be the same regardless of what types of candles you use. So don't think that it's going to be like some life-changing upgrade. Not that. You can get away with using the absolute cheapest version of TradingView as long as you have live market data. It really doesn't make a difference. Okay, so let's see if we can get increasing volume here. We're about halfway through this candle, or maybe a little bit more than halfway up. So maybe we have a chance for this to be increasing outlier. Let's see. Okay, it kind of does seem like that volume pace has slowed down just a little bit. So again, no confirmation there, right? Not enough volume and did not break, close, and hold outside of the opening range. Well, it won't matter, right? Because it still hasn't broken out above the opening range on the 5 min. So it doesn't matter. Uh, volume is a binary, right? Like it has to be increasing an outlier. If it's just outlier, it's still not enough. If it's increasing, it's still not enough. So I like this volume as much as I like the volume on the 3 min. I dislike this volume on the 5 min as much as I dislike it on the 3 min. It's not enough, right? So there's no difference. Like the reason, guys, we use the increasing and outlier volume as our confirmation is because it either happens or it doesn't, right? It doesn't leave room for interpretation, right? It's a binary event. So if it's over, sweet. If it's not, sweet. It's that simple, right? I want to be in a situation where I don't have to think if it's an exception. I want as many yes no decisions effectively, so that's all it is. So, yeah, so far a little bit of deja vu to yesterday's opening, say 40 minutes. Maybe a little bit less like W type price action, but still the same sort of core concept, right? Where it's been good size opening range, but then the vast majority of price actions basically just been, excuse me, just been hanging out inside of the opening range. So like it really depends on Joseph, really depends on your entry technique. If you're going to be waiting for me to say that I am in, that 6 or 7 second difference will only be an impact if you're choosing to then chase my entry, right? So if I say that I'm in, and then the second you hear that I'm in, you're clicking submit, then that 6 or 7 seconds, right, that you're experiencing would impact, right, your entry because all of a sudden now it's a different price. Now, if you're waiting for me to say what my price is, and then you're looking for a retest of my price to jump in, there will be zero difference. Now, I do not recommend for you guys to just click submit the second you hear that I'm in. There's a lot of videos on, entry techniques that you should do to be able to trade is for you to hear and wait to see what my price is and then to try to get a better price than me. For about 98, 97% of the trades that I take, it will retest my entry price or better, and you will be able to get in at that price. The latency of the YouTube or the buffer that you have, right, with your own internet connection will not influence that. And yeah, for now, still looks a little bit range bound, kind of like a bookend of volume to a certain extent, right? And then it's been pretty light and low since then. So, okay, we have a setup, but no confirmation, right? That volume is not increasing or outlier. So again, we're still looking for that volume to show back up. Okay, looks like I dropped a few frames there, but we should be back to okay. Again, the latency on YouTube, guys, is 3 seconds. So if you're seeing more than that, right? Please make sure the live button is clicked and that the 2x watch speed is also clicked. That ensures, right, that if you do have any buffering, it always catches you up to that. YouTube's latency is the lowest available, right? I'm trading or streaming on the ultra low latency setting. There is no faster way for me to be able to provide you this information. So any difference outside of those 3 seconds is on your end. So make sure, right, that you are setting up your stream or setting up your YouTube, right, so that it manages or covers that difference. And if you think that 3 seconds is going to be the difference between you being profitable or not, no offense, you're an idiot. So again, we're unlikely to get outlier volume on this candle. It's very unlikely that it's going to be outlier here on the 5 either, right? So we got to be patient. Ugh. So outlier is relative to that white line, right? So this white line is the 20 volume moving average or the average of the last 20 volume candles. So I'm looking for it to be increasing and above that white line, right? So outlier has to be larger than average. That's why I use that white line on my indicator. So if your volume at moving average looks different, it's very likely that you're using electronic trading hours, not regular trading hours. And so you are using calculations based off of pre-market data. And that's not what I use. If you can see at the bottom right hand of my trading view chart, it says RTH, which means regular trading hours. I do not use the electronic. I do not want to use the light volume conditions over the pre-market to influence what I see here. Yeah, so we have an active setup here, Vic. We're looking for a confirmation of that setup. We're not getting one at the moment. So for now, this price action is just consolidation, right? It's consolidation until we get that breakout volume. So we're just chilling, right? There's nothing to do until that volume returns. And if it keeps climbing on increasing but not outlier volume, or it climbs on decreasing volume, I don't care, right? Like I'm never going to hold it against myself that price action moves without following my rules. I don't care, right? So there's no FOMO here. There's nothing. All I'm trying to do, right, is follow my rules, stick to my system, and ignore absolutely everything else. Okay, so again, we're about halfway through this candle. We're definitely going to get increasing volume here. Question is, will we get outlier? NQ looks better. Well, trading is fundamentally a game of supply and demand, right? You need more buyers than sellers for price to go up. You need more sellers than buyers for price to go down. So the only way that I can visualize that accurately, right, is by using the volume indicator. If you want a, this is very influenced, right, by how I was trading institutionally. I've talked about that a lot in the past. I won't touch on it too much here today. But if you want like a deep dive basically into how the fund I worked at used volume, read Anna Cooling's book, Price and Volume Analysis, as that was on our recommended reading list when I worked there. Okay, so this is going to be outlier, right, by the looks of it, where you got increasing volume. It's kind of already given us a little turtle head above that average line. So now we want to see this thing close strong candle shape, right? And then we can start to look for possible entries. Now, every confirmation here we've seen, right, has been a little bit of a fake out. So again, I'm waiting for the other side of my trade to fail first, right? Either a little fake out move or something along those lines. So again, no immediate rush to make a decision here yet. We still need to see price action cooperate a little bit. What I'm basically looking to see here, right, is we've seen every time it makes an immediate higher high, it then dumps, makes a new lower low, and then goes again or reverses. So we're kind of waiting to see if that combo of information occurs. So let's see. And because this is my confirmation candle, guys, I don't have to get an entry the next candle, right? I don't have to. Generally, that's, ideal or preferred, or it's like the most likely outcome. But if it doesn't happen on the next candle, no big deal, right? So it's not going to kill our setup or invalidate our thesis. So again, no rush here, right? We're trying to make sure we don't get caught in a trap. We've worked too hard to be deliberate to make a dumb decision here now. Okay, so let's see if this is where the fake out establishes itself. Again, this candle seems very likely to give me an increasing outlier volume. Okay, 20 seconds. Let's see how this closes. And this would be a long setup, right? So again, see if we can get a little fake out lower. As is, right? This would be a two contract trade. You'd be risking about 180 points a contract, or $180 a contract. Sorry, not 180 points. Might be able to tighten that up a little bit with the if we get that fake out, but let's be patient. And again, if we don't get a look on the 3, we can just do it on the 5, right? No big deal. All right, so let's see. Oh, this freaking LRB indicator is so slow today. Okay, so we'd be looking at an 879 stop loss again, so we can get that little fake out here. You're risking 7 points, right? So $140 a contract. You go 3 contracts on this. Okay, that's a good reaction. I got 2 minutes here now to inventories data. Now I would expect that to probably impact ES a little bit more than NQ. Because NQ is not going to have really any oil exposure. 11 points. There'll be 2 contracts. I still would like to see tight. All right, so I'm watching here, guys. I am watching. Another point. I'm looking for an entry under 86, right? Above 86, bad entry. Under 86, good entry. Okay, let's see if this is the fake out. Okay, perfect. All right, guys, I am in 882.25, three contract stop loss 877. Okay, let's see if this thing can push. Beautiful. So far, so good here. So far, so good. We'd like to see this thing get over 900, right? Ooh, don't like that. Okay, push, push, push. All right, guys, I think I have to close this. Okay, so I'm out. Exit price 883. I think I'm a little bit early on this, so I'm going to reset and try again. I don't like that little fake out higher and then pullback. Makes me feel like I was going to get stopped out. Okay, so good decision. We will try this again here potentially. Very, very good decision. So better to make 50 bucks than to lose 400. Let us try this again potentially. That was a really good decision. I'm happy with that. Probably, I mean, I could have closed up 600 bucks. Didn't, which is a bit annoying. But that's fine. Not the end of the world. How'd you lose 300 bucks there, Charles? How'd that happen? Again, guys, don't go down with the ship, right? Don't go down with the ship. It's better to take a small win or a small loss after you see your thesis not behave the way that you want instead of getting that hopium. There should be no reason why anyone lost money on that trade. Charles, it's got nothing to do with the delay, man. I refuse to accept that as an excuse. Control the variables you can't control. You didn't there. Don't blame the live stream. Don't. That is cheating yourself of what actually happened. And no, it isn't all good, right? You shouldn't be happy taking that loss. That is a significant mistake. It's not an all good. Okay, so 20 seconds from now, we'll be able to reset this trade up here. Again, still working off of this as my confirmation. Okay. So let's see how this thing behaves here now. Be looking at something like this. It'd be pretty tight. See that little fake out here first, maybe. Okay. Come on. Okay, watch the little fake out here. Okay, there's the possible fake out. Looking for an elevator up bounce from that 900 spot. Hasn't happened yet. So I'm still potentially worried about there being a new lower low that could happen. Okay, that was much better. Let it stabilize. Be patient. Okay, guys, I am in average price 902.25, stop loss 896, three contracts. There's your retest. Okay, just got stopped out. I might try this again. Okay, nope, no retest entry. Guys, don't like just my problem with people blaming the delay, right? Is you are admitting that you do not have control over why you are making a decision. That for me is an absolutely pathetic answer. I can't stand that, right? Because you're the one who's in control. You're the one who's making these decisions. You're the one who is supposed to be prepared. Don't give up that power into something that is not relevant. Don't be so willing to blame something else when you have control over that decision. You're cheating yourself of being able to improve as a trader. That's why it drives me nuts. Because it's blaming an external factor when you need to be looking internally. So it drives me absolutely insane. Like, be accountable to yourself, right? Don't pass on that blame. Like, I don't blame you guys when I have a losing trade, right? I blame myself. So don't give away that ability to learn something onto something that is like, don't pretend it's outside of your control. It is not the reality. That's why it bothers me, right? Because if you want to be a successful trader, you're the one who knocks, right? You're the one who's in control. Don't just be so willing to give that up. It is ridiculous. Nice work, guys. Jesus. What's the low here? 78, 878. That's starting to look like the fake out here now, potentially. Oops, wrong button. Let's see. Okay, fine close. So reference price would be about there. Probably should be there. So 7 points of risk, right? Then go 3 contracts. Okay, so watching here very carefully. Okay, guys, I am in 885 on the dot, three contract stop loss, 878. Okay, let's see if this thing can push. There we go, much better. Hmm. Might have jinxed that. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right, push, baby. Fantastic. There's 15 points. Really nice. Let's even keep pushing. Okay, I don't like that, right? It's contextually, we got stuffed at 900. Now we're pulling back pretty aggressively. So just being very cautious here, right? I do not want to see this trade go red at this point. I'm up more than 1R. So I should have no excuses to let this trade go red. So all I'm thinking about right now, right, is making sure I don't finish red on this trade. Okay, guys, I am out. I am out. 887. I will try this again. Power hour is not a thing in the first hour of the day. Power hour is the last hour of the day. Again, I can always retry this, right? You don't get paid for being early. I think I was early on that initial decision. So we can try this again. Not a big deal. Okay, so 2 for 3 here on the day so far, but effectively a scratch day. So for me to want to play a short, I would need a second most bearish, full body bearish, normal body bearish candle that makes a higher high above high a day. That also happens with increasing outlier volume. I would reference the ORB cheat sheet in the trading docs, Chris, or watch the 3-hour strategy video that is also in the trading docs. For now, we have not invalidated this breakout at 1033. So I've got no reason to look for a short here yet, right? Two ways that you invalidate price action. You break and hold and make new lower lows, or you go bigger volume than that confirmation candle, right? Whatever you want to call it. Neither of those things have happened, so that thesis is still in play. Okay, so let's even get a little fake out lower low here first. Okay, there's that potential fake out. Okay, good bounce. You'd be looking at an 891 stop loss here, guys. 891 stop loss. Okay, I am in 896. 896. Ooh, that was a bad reaction post entry. Okay, I'm going to close this, guys. I'm out already. I am out already. Hated that reaction. That was an instant elevator upon entry. Makes me feel like I'm definitely going to get stopped out, which I would have just done. So I'll save myself 200 bucks there. We'll try this again. Again, being early doesn't mean that your thesis is wrong, but you don't get paid for being early, right? right? And this would have shaken us out before it goes. So don't lie to yourself that you would have made money on this. Oh, that's annoying. Fuck, that's really dumb. Really annoying. No, but a monster. Okay, so just for now, we'll reset this as it gets closer. Again, I'd prefer to use the aggressive entry technique here, so just be patient. Okay, watching here very carefully. As is 5 points of risk. Still the pullback entry technique here. We haven't made a higher high, so it still could be in play. That would push me something like that. Bum, bum, Okay, so watching here closely again. Okay, watch the fake out. I reckon it's going to flush through those lows. Just be patient. Okay, watch this close. Got to close above this. Which it did. Good. Just couldn't find the courage to get my entry there. Oh, come on. Okay. Can I get the tight risk reward? Okay, watching here carefully. There's that fake out. It's going to bounce quick. Yep, good. All right, guys, I am in 911.75. Stop loss 907. And I've got 4 contracts here. Ah, just got stopped. Oh, fuck. Whoops. Can I do this? Watch the fake out under 94. Okay, guys, I am in again. 897, stop loss 893. And I've got 5 contracts this time, right? I've got 4 points of risk, so well within my parameters here. Gotta bounce. Okay, took the stop again. That's dumb. Kind of getting chopped to death on those small little entries. That's okay. It puts me at minus like 760 on the day. Not beautiful, but that's okay. Okay, so now we're looking for this to turn into a rejection signal here. Oh, is this going to turn into a fucking reversal again? And guys, I fight back against saying that it's a volatile market or whatever. It is not. We are forcing ourselves to have really tight risk, right? So we either are green right away or we're out right away. That is by design. It makes it easier for us to win. So don't blame something else when this is literally what our system is, right? It's better to take 3 small losses and then get your entry correct on the 4th time than it is to take 1 big loss and not have a chance to take another shot. So this is exactly why we trade the way that we do. Like 3 points of risk on NQ is so tight. So don't say that's volatile. Having 3 points of risk on NQ is not volatile, right? That tells you it's actually a pretty slow market, right? That you can get 3 points of risk on a 25,000 point security. So don't, yeah. It drives me insane, guys. So we're trying to lose small, right? Losing small is our edge. So our system by design is working exactly as we expect. Stop giving power away from decisions that you control. It's ridiculous. Like we were still one trade away from being green and one small move away from being green. If that bothers you, man, I can't help you then, right? And this is not new risk management, guys. We're not doing anything different than what we have. It's just that we're waiting for deep pullbacks, right? We're waiting to get as big of a discount as we can. It's all the exact same concepts we've been trading, I don't know, last 12 months. So again, stop giving away your control. It's ridiculous. Like we're reasonably, right, with the position sizing that we've had here today, we're like 10 to 15 points away from being green. So what I'd like to see here, right, would be a fake out under, say, 880, so that I can play it off of that green candle there. Right, so I'd like to see it basically find support inside this wick zone, bounce, and then I can look for a possible entry. So there's that 880 fake out. Let's see. I don't know if it's quite there yet. Okay, there's hopefully that fake out. Okay, guys, I am in 880 on the dot, stop loss 875, five contracts here. I got $500 worth of risk. I just want to micromanage this for a second. I will write it out in a moment. Just bear with me. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm out, guys. I am out. 882. I'm going to try this again. Feels early. That puts me now down to like 500 bucks on the day. Maybe that was a bit of a panic close. It's fine. So I will potentially be interested in trying this again, but I would like a better entry than what I had last time, right? If I felt early at 880, I would like to make sure I get a better entry than that. A good decision, right, to get out where we did. Again, I'd say there's a bit of a cut pain though. So for now, we're still looking for the pullback. Okay, we could possibly do that. Okay, so now we're back to watching this. And we want better entry than 880. And so I'm only switching timeframes here to see if I can get a tighter risk reward ratio, right? An 885 stop loss. I call it 884 just to keep the math simple. Okay, guys, I am in 889 stop loss, 884, 5 contracts. There's your retest. Could have gone a better entry. Okay, push, 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 push. It's a brick by brick trading day. All right, here we go. Push, push, push. Okay, there we go. That should put you green on the day. So now we want to see it to get above 900, right? That's the psychological barrier it keeps getting stuffed at. So if we can get a breakout through there, we should have some nice runway. If we don't, right, if we get rejected at or around 900, that has to be an aggressive trigger to close this and protect the win. Okay, I'm out, guys. I am out, right? That was a very aggressive and quick rejection. I am out. Exit price 991. So now sitting at about minus 300. We'll try this again potentially. And we're just playing our scalps here, right? We're taking what the market has given us. Trading docs, Scott's in the trading docs. Guys, there are only 3 places any video can specifically be. The entire library of every single video I have ever made is inside the trading docs. The specific step-by-step guides can be found in the Start Here channel and How to Trade with DTR. So again, there should not be any confusion there. I don't hide these things, right? Ah, it's annoying. Uh, CL is not less choppy. Okay, so here's that 900 breakout we were looking for. A bit annoyed. It's okay. We'll reset this. No big deal. Okay. Okay, let's see if this is the fake out here. Okay, good bounce. I am in, guys. I am in 905.75, 905.75, 5 contracts, stop loss 901.50. 905.75, 905.75. There's your retest. Okay, did not like that. Oh, just got stopped. Okay, puts me about -8. It's a kind of a bullshit little fake out there. So that's a painful fake out. Okay, let's see if this is the little shakeout and go. Okay, guys, I am in 908 on the dot. Stop loss 905. 5 contracts. Still in. Still in. Still in. Got to cross it. Oh, there we go. Stopped out. It's another. Is that another freaking fake out? Okay, I'm back in here, guys. I'm back in 905. Stop loss 903. There we go. There we go. All right, so now this thing's got to push. And again, this is exactly why we focus on keeping our risk super tight, right? So that's $1,000. Should put you green on the day. And now let's see if we can break out above high a day. Again, I will not let this trade go red, guys. I will not let this trade go red. Okay, let's watch. See if we can get that breakout. We have to be stubborn here today, but that stubbornness has paid off, and there we go. Huge. Okay, so let's see if this thing can keep pushing here now. That's 20 points. 2K trade so far. Let's see if we can keep pushing. Good volume. Keep pushing here. Keep pushing. Okay, there we go. 25 points. Excellent trade here, team. Excellent, excellent, excellent trade. That should put you everyone green and then some, right? This should be turning into a really nice day here, everybody. We have to work for a living here today, but that's the way it should go sometimes. See if we can get over that 30 handle. Come on. Okay, I don't like that. Don't like that at all. Needs to hold this as support, right? We need to see previous high at day continue to hold that support. If we bounce under there, I'm going to look to get out. Okay, so it's got to bounce back here, turn into support. Okay, it so far has. Mm, 2 point stop is crazy. That's awesome. Okay, now we want to see it squeeze, 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 squeeze. The sociopath in me wants to pyramid here, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, again, we need to see that blue line act as support. Okay, it's got to bounce, got to bounce, got to bounce, got to bounce. Good bounce. Let's see if we can keep pushing here. See if we can keep pushing. A little bit of a disappointing close, actually. Oh, I'm trying to fight the thoughts in my head here a little bit. There's like this, I don't know, damned if you do, damned if you don't feeling in my brain, I think it's my brain trying to trick me into doing what's easy, not necessarily what's best. Or it's like trying to get me to panic close, which I really don't want to do. Still think this thing is going to push. But then it rejects like that, and I kind of lose confidence. How's everyone feeling? Everyone feeling okay? Nice work, Earl. Let's go, man. Nice work. Just time of day is also starting to become a little bit suspicious. Give me one more good squeeze here, and Q, I believe in you. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Oh, working man's day here today, team. Apologies. Not our easiest trading session. Okay, come on. You're so close. It does feel like each new subsequent higher and higher high feels weaker and weaker. Or like that's the intrusive thought in my brain. This trade's been a little bit weird from like a psychological perspective because I've had a lot of thoughts like rattling around in my head. I've been both, I don't say nervous about these breakouts. I don't think that's the reality, but I've also felt confident enough where I like thought about pyramiding, right? So it's like I've got a devil and an angel on my shoulder here, and that's a little bit annoying. Like it's making it. or it makes the decision process feel like a little bit cloudy. But I, like objectively, when I'm looking at it, I have no reason to get out of this. So I'm like trying to fight those demons a little bit, I guess. But it's also like not really moved much in the last 5 minutes. I also have like in my mind, I feel like this is going to go to 950, and I don't know where that number is coming from in my head. Huh. But it just my gut is telling me that for some reason. So, like when I feel that cloudiness, right? The thing I'm focusing on here is posture and breathing. So I'm trying to make sure I'm sitting up straight, right? That my breathing is controlled, that I'm really being conscious of my body language. Generally, right, when you start to get like P&L obsessed over a trade or tilted by a trade, it's like shoulders hunched forward, right? Face as close to the screen as possible. And the second that happens, right, I think you start to create scenarios where it's a little bit easier to make an emotional decision. Again, just fighting that feeling, right, a little bit. Maybe a bit of decision fatigue here. Okay, it's got to bounce off of this. That was less enthusiastic than the first two times it bounced. Bearish engulfing candle, bearish engulfing on volume potentially. And again, no panic here, no panic. So far, so good still. Hey, Kathy, that's really good. Like that's Kathy, you should be very proud of that risk management. That's awesome work. All right, come on. I do feel like there's still one squeeze left before bulls are done. But I don't know if I want like if I'm just saying that because I want that to happen, right? That's sort of there's like confirmation bias, right, in that statement. Come on, break. Man, I wonder how many people got absolutely crushed trying to short this market here today because of the government shutdown. That's an inside bar on that last candle, which I think is also a little bit suspicious. Done a really good job here not being too P&L focused, which I think is nice. But I feel that white monster energy drink coursing through my veins. You know what time it is? It's nicotine gun time. Okay, it's starting to look a little bit like a fake out here now. Come on. Close above 30 would be best case scenario. Didn't quite do it. Nine 29 and 15. Oh, what a life. All right, guys, I'm out. Exit price 930.25, 930.25. I've given this as much time as I possibly can to move. It's not doing it. So screw it. I'm going to take the win and run. That's a really great win. And now it's going to break out, but that's okay. So 2,500 on that trade. Close it right before the breakout, of course. But that's a really strong day here, guys, right? That puts me at like 1,800 bucks on the day per account. I can't really complain about that. That's a really strong session. But yeah, I probably made a mistake closing it there, but that's fine. I'll take it. I'll take it all day. Back in the day, AJ, when I was like 20, but I love nicotine. Nicotine, it really helps me find my like zone of focus. So that's why I like it. So yeah, maybe a little bit of a disappointing exit. Like I probably could have closed, an extra 10 points higher, but fuck it, I'll take it. That was a good enough day. A lot of work. So pretty good day here. I spelled exaggerated. There we go. And yeah, like after I closed, all right. Oh, how's everyone feeling? Not an easy day here today. Nice work, Joseph. Hey, $900 is awesome. Yeah, today definitely felt like work. And like I wrote in my journal that I think keeping that risk really tight or like as tight as we did probably exaggerated some of those sensations, right? Made it feel as if things were maybe a little bit more difficult than they needed to be. But I think that that's like a limiting belief more than necessarily reality. So pretty happy. I mean, not the smoothest trading day. I wanted a one and done. I did not get a one and done, but that's life. That's the way she goes. And yeah, maybe I didn't have a reason to get out of this besides just like mental capital, feeling like it was draining the longer it took. So for sure, left a little bit of money on the table here. This is probably going to run to now like 29,000 or whatever. But all things considered, pretty happy with the trading day. Really happy with how I managed risk here today. Right, like I think this 2 point stop loss on NQ has got to be the tightest stop I've had all year, and it was an awesome trade. So really, really happy with that. The whole point of my risk management system of making my win rate overrated really worked fantastically here today, right? So we basically were just like flipping a coin effectively, right, with our win rate, which is fine. But when you're risking 2 points or 5 points or 10 points, it's really easy to justify flipping that coin because getting a 6 point move and going three times your risk is really easy to accomplish, right? When you all of a sudden have that really tight risk. So happy, a bit frustrated. I feel like yeah, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud, but um I don't know. It's like, scene in a movie where or like an old movie where, the 1950s couple hooks up and then the guy smoking a cigarette in bed. Kind of feels like that a little bit here. But yeah, I feel a little bit mentally exhausted, I think. I also like I am not uh yeah, I don't know, shouldn't say that out loud either. But yeah, pretty happy with the trading day. I won't feel good. Any questions here, team? Any questions? So yeah, final call for questions here, team. Final call for questions. I'm ready to go do some dancing. All I'm hoping for this time, Joseph, is that I don't get COVID on the way back. That's what we're aiming for here today. Yeah, unfortunately, the wedding starts at 2 o'clock UK time, which is like 30 minutes before market opens. So I'm not trading rest of the week. That schedule, Mike, is updated in the stream schedule tab of the Discord. Yeah, weird day. Weird day. All right, guys. So, same deal like always, right? If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, have yourselves a great rest of the week. I'll see you guys all on Monday. Peace.